Firefighters at the Grand Canyon are racing to contain two raging wildfires. This after they destroyed a historic lodge and closed a section of the park for the rest of the season. Scripps News business and tech correspondent Maura Barrett is live in Chicago, but has been tracking all of this. And Maura, what's the latest?
Andrew, these two wildfires are still 0% contained, even as firefighters spent the entire weekend working on it. They note that the fires spread even more quickly overnight into Saturday. There are two fires on the North Rim side of the Grand Canyon in the national park there. One is the White Sage Fire, and that's spread about 50,000 acres just south, about 35 miles south. The Dragon Bravo Fire spans about 5,700 acres. So a lot smaller there, but that is where that historic lodge, unfortunately, was completely engulfed in flames, officials said. And this is in addition to another 50 to 80 estimated structures that were also destroyed, including the visitor center, gas station, wastewater treatment center, some employee lodging as well. And so that wastewater treatment center, it's important to note, released some chlorine gas, officials said. And so they had to pull firefighters back over the weekend because that can have serious health impacts. It also didn't allow them to drop chemical retardant on the area. They were only able to do water drops over the weekend, and that's why they continue today out of fear of that leaked chlorine gas as a result. But obviously, this is a very popular park, and so the closure of the North Rim is definitely something that people who enjoy the area are devastated about, but firefighters still clearly have a lot of work ahead of them to do, Andrew.
Yeah, devastating for the millions of people who go and visit the Grand Canyon every year. Obviously, this, I would assume, is a pretty busy season. How is this impacting tourism?
So the Grand Canyon National Park sees about 5 million visitors each year as they've logged in recent years. And the North Rim is actually one that only a small percentage of people go to. When you're coming in from Arizona, it's actually harder to reach by car. And so that's something that people say is part of the magic, though, is that it's less busy and they have more of the trails to themselves. And it feels like they're really immersed in nature. And that's something that North Rim Lodge really fed into as well. I actually just spoke with Tom Sepulveo. He's the president of the Grand Canyon Historical Society, and him and his team were there over the weekend, are still there for their annual picnic and awards ceremony that they had on the South Rim. And he said that the wildfire impact was very much felt. I want you to hear some of what he told me.
The mood got darker and darker, and we were quite devastated and despondent overnight as we learned about this loss. These are very expensive facilities to rebuild. I'm sure all the fieldstone that's there they will, as I've seen with a lot of burned structures, they will try to save some of those items not destroyed and incorporate that into a rebuild.
Sepulveo walked me through all of the history and the archives that exist. The lodge itself was actually a National Historic Landmark that had previously been a victim of a fire in the 1930s. And so he feels very optimistic that, like they did back in the 1930s, that they will rebuild that lodge and hopefully recreate some of the magic that he described in terms of how it feels to stay in such a historic place like that. It will remain closed, as you noted, for the North Rim for the rest of the season, and Tom predicts that services will be cut out a little bit next season as well. But obviously, firefighters' focus right now is working to contain the fire before any plans to rebuild and get tourists back in there are firmed up, Andrew.
All right, Scripps News business and tech correspondent Maura Barrett for us. Maura, thank you.